T-Rex fam, you know, every time you get to hear that song, you're watching the best breakfast show in all of South Africa. Right here on eTV, it's the morning show on this motivational Monday. And today I've got a very special guest joining us live via Zoom. He's a Springbok legend, a Rugby World Cup champion, and now he's an advocate for an incredibly important cause. Bryan Habana joins us to tell us about the Turn On The Subtitles campaign, an initiative that's aiming to tackle South Africa's literacy crisis in a simple but very powerful way. Bryan, welcome to the morning show. It's great to be chatting to you today.
Kosi, great to be on. Good to see you. It's a few hours later, right?
Yeah, a few hours later after the Red Bull show run. And it's great to be chatting to you this morning about something that is so pivotal, so important, and something so small can make such a big difference. But for a lot of people who might not know the full details, the reality is that the statistics around literacy in South Africa are really alarming, so to say. How did you then decide to get on with Turn On The Subtitles, or TOTS in short, this campaign, and what motivated you to be part of something so significant?
So, Kosi, firstly, I think, as a parent and understanding how incredibly important the academic learnings of children are, and how much we take for granted that, as an adult, you can almost read. But then when the Turning On The Subtitles team sort of approached me and gave me the stats you just mentioned, how bad illiteracy is in South Africa, and thinking about how simple something like turning on the subtitles can actually do in a really important and pivotal developmental role for children across South Africa. And I think as we officially launched the global initiative on the 2nd of October, which in our opinion really hopes to drive awareness around that simple action, which has scientifically been proven, to really improve the children's literacy levels. And hopefully by doing so, we can encourage educators, parents, guardians, and hopefully even broadcasters to include subtitles when we are watching content, or at least offer the subtitles on their platform to help improve children's reading skills.
Yeah, but for someone who's watching and they're thinking, okay, but how does subtitles, how is that going to be actually helping with the greater issue of literacy? Maybe you can help us explain how it will improve this.
Yeah. So the basic premise is that, we've actually gone into a lot of academia and research done around studies that have shown that children who watch series or content on the TVs, and we know how many are watching content on a screen at some point in the week, but if that content is suited for children with subtitles, that they can now recognize, read, and correlate and understand the words a lot better in comparison to those who didn't. So this is not just anything, we sort of pulled from the sky or assumed information, but rather detailed research that has influenced TOTS, or Turn On The Subtitles, to really advocate for families and educators to turn on the subtitles. And if you just think of being able to see someone's mouth working, but read what is coming out of their mouth. And these researchers have even gone, as far as using eye tracking tools in some parts of the world to determine the impact of subtitle reading. So, for children who previously struggled to read, there were real signs of improved engagement when subtitles were turned on. So a lot of scientific backing and understanding, and really is just such a basic premise that can make a monumental difference in a child's development.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you on that one. And it's something that I think a lot of us, especially as adults, we overlook it. In actual fact, sometimes you switch them off because they're a little bit annoying, but you miss how it can be such a learning moment for young ones. But Bryan, a lot of us kind of going, okay, how does Bryan move from a very successful rugby career and having it achieved so much to then saying, I want to get involved in a cause like this? We think of Bryan Habana and we think of this image that we're seeing on screen, but then how do you then sign on the paper to say, I want to be a part of the work that TOTS is doing?
So I think for me, being proudly South African, Fosi, and loving South Africa so much, but also understanding how important patriotism, has really extended into various other roles, whether it be with my fintech company, Pay Me Now, MatchKit. But, the TOTS program, is really something that I think strikes a sort of chord within me as a parent, and understanding, we look at our unemployment rate and how important it is to really improve literacy, and in so doing, hopefully upskill, children, particularly in those ages of 14 to 21. But as much as my on-field success was phenomenal, it is about creating a better future. And where I, as a South African, can play my part in that becomes really important. And hopefully, collaboratively, which I think is really important. Tots on their own can't do it. As South Africans, whether it be broadcasters, teachers, whatever we can do, particularly as parents, then come together and hopefully together collaboratively tackle the illiteracy rate in our country, means South Africa becomes better. So yes, rugby was great, Kosi, and I'm extremely grateful for the privilege of getting to don the green and gold for as long as I did. But I really do think that campaigns like TOT becomes important in making sure that the future of South Africa, in what is a very volatile perspective currently, becomes increasingly important for the children that are going to be leading the country in 10 to 15 years time.
Yeah, and I mean, I must say, this campaign is supported some by celebrities. I don't know who was choosing you guys, but they chose very well. I'm listing 3 people who are barely aging. That's yourself, Corny Ferguson, and Proverb. The 3 of you are looking the same as what I remember when I was introduced to you, but I think more than anything, it's really showing the support of public figures rallying behind this cause. How important is it that then there's a diversity of the people that are there? I mean, Graham Smith is there. The same way that we are going to see someone who's younger like Tobile Kumalo or Kaise Ngula, that's there. How important is that diversity of the different people that's included behind this campaign?
So see, if we look at the current Springbok team, I think one of the strengths is how we really find balance and harmony in our diverse cultural differences. And I think collaboratively coming together, being a group, as you showed on the screen there, the sport has been absolutely mind-blowing. And I honestly just love how, firstly, parents, but how these celebrities and people of high caliber are really coming together, despite where we find ourselves in the different professions, and we're able to lend our voices to a good cause. And hopefully that means that it's going to be a far greater impact when you have such a diverse group of public figures that target so many different communities, that I think the information probably gets to be needed by the most. So collaboration, I think, in bettering our future, whether it be in various forms, but I think in coming together and working towards a common goal, at the end of the day, South Africa will hopefully benefit.
Yeah, look, and Bryan, I think we're all looking forward to see that moment where South Africa and its future generations ultimately benefits from a campaign as beautiful as this. As we wrap up our time together, there's parents that might be listening to this conversation, caregivers, aunts, uncles, grandparents that might be listening. What advice do you have to share with them in encouraging them towards the work of literacy development in young people, and just for them to catch the heart and the importance of being able to see that we raise a literate generation in future?
Also, you mentioned it earlier in the interview, you said, as parents or people watching, we sometimes get irritated by subtitles on a screen because we can read and we know exactly what's being said. And I think, as fellow South Africans, we probably need to come together and hopefully stand firm in trying to curb not only what is a ailing literacy rate, but coming together collaboratively to increase the potential future of what South Africa can become. Now, we know how important reading is, knowledge sharing, that Kaizen principle of continual improvement. But I think for kids to start dreaming big, but they don't know how to realize their dreams. So to try potentially be proactive, with our kids' literacy by doing something as simple as turning on the subtitles, hopefully allows them to become better, understand, that they can start dreaming big, that they can shoot for the moon to hopefully one day land amongst the stars.
Yeah, man, that is so beautiful, man. And I love how you're able to bring it back to rugby, even in the most mundane of conversations. Talk about diversity. It's like you look at the Springbok team and just how much diversity there is. And I'm just like, yes, his blood definitely is green and gold. Bryan, thank you so much for joining us this morning and really highlighting something that's so important. And I think you're reminding us again how much of a privilege it is to be, quote unquote, annoyed by those subtitles, but to be able to allow the generation that follows the opportunity to enjoy it before they get to the point where they, quote unquote, annoyed by those subtitles and improving their literacy. So thank you so much for joining us. And of course, looking forward to just so much more work that you'll be doing.
Thanks. We'll see. Have a great Motivation Monday.
Same to you. Thank you. Well, that's where we wrap up this conversation with Bryan Habana, and of course, talking about some life-changing initiatives. And to you, our viewers at home, if you want to be part of the solution to South Africa's literacy crisis, simply turn on the subtitles on your television and streaming platforms. It's a small action with a massive, massive impact. And if you want to get more information, visit their website. It's www.turnonthesubtitles.org, and be sure to check out all that they have available right there. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be wrapping up the show in just a moment. We'll be right back.